Steel Curtain Network.
Touchdown! Touchdown para Calvin Austin! El Monte Washington es arma. ¿Quién más? ¿Quién más? DJ Watt!
What is going on, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Preview. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by Dave Schofield and Brian Davis. Brian, what's up?
Seattle has one loss, and I am so glad to be here to root on our Steelers to get to 2 losses for Seattle.
It sucks that you said that because I was even driving today, and I was like, oh, if the Steelers win, Seattle will have 2 losses. And I'll be able to say in the postgame show, Brian, Seattle has how many losses? It'll be so funny. And then you...
Well, don't forget by then, because it'll be an exciting
he's a man of a certain age. He will not remember that by Sunday.
No,
Dave, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here. It's been a crazy couple days, so it's nice to get to sports.
Yeah, absolutely. And absolutely talking about Steelers Seahawks week 2, which brings back some bad juju for me, 2019, but we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to leave that on the cutting room floor right now. But let's talk about this upcoming game. And I said this last week, I think it's an appropriate way to start this conversation is, what's your gut feeling about this contest? Brian, we'll start with you.
My gut feeling about this contest is the Steelers, if they are who we think they are, should go ahead and win at home and show off. However, Seattle's an enigma of a team. They're one of those teams that you just don't know who they are. They didn't look that good last week, but I really think going across the country is not easy for them. And the Steelers, if they are progressing and getting better, then I think they should win this game. Not by a landslide, though.
Okay. Dave, what about you?
To me, this feels like the classic week 2. Yeah, everything that we thought might not be true. That it could be good, it could be bad. This is with both teams that you just that if you have an idea of what's going to happen, this just feels like one of those games that's not going to be the same kind of game that you thought it was going to be. I mean, I already had that from week 1, but now I feel that to be even more possible for week 2.
Like you always say, Dave, this is week 2. We start to see trends in week 2. Mm-hmm. This is where, was the run defense
just a pattern?
Was it just a blip on the radar last week, or is this the way we're going to see things for the foreseeable future? But I think the appropriate place to start in terms of discussion and talking about this game is with the injury report. The Steelers have some big names on that injury report. So, Dave, you have the Steelers ready?
I do. I have the Steelers ready.
All right, go ahead.
All right. The same 7 players that were on there on Wednesday are also again on Thursday. 2 of them have nothing to do with injury because Cam Hayward was limited on Wednesday and didn't practice on his typical Thursday, not practicing during the week. TJ Watt was given Wednesday off, but he was back full again on Thursday. Both of them not injury related. Derek Harmon didn't practice either day. He's not expected to play anyway. Deshaun Elliott didn't practice either day, not expected to play anyway. Calvin Anderson, the swing tackle, he didn't practice Wednesday due to an illness, but he was back full on Thursday, so that should tell you everything's fine with him. To me, the 2 big ones to watch were Joey Porter Jr. and Nick Herbig, both dealing with hamstrings. Nick Herbig went from limited Wednesday to full Thursday. Really good news. Joey Porter Jr. didn't practice either day. I don't think that's looking too good for him.
All right, Brian, what's your take on the Steelers injury report heading into Friday?
Well, the way that I look at it, fellas, is kind of simple. I kind of feel that we expected these injuries to come. Herbig, it looks like he's getting better, and that adds to that it's going to add to the defense, but it's not going to fix all the problems that they have. They're just going to have an extra pass rusher in there. Now, when it comes to Joey Porter Jr., the guy needs to be out there, but they have some guys that they can move around. Brandon Echols was pretty good the other day. We know what we can do with Jalen Ramsey, and this is the first time in his life that he played in every single possession on the secondary, so he's ready to go. He's going to fill in where needed, and with the addition of Jabril Peppers, even though I don't expect to see much of him, but you've got Chuck Clark in there too that can fill in at safety. You've got more things going on now than what you did last week when they went out.
I agree, Brian, that I think the Steelers' secondary is more capable of withstanding a Joey Porter Jr. absence this week, and I don't think he's going to play. If you have a hamstring injury and you haven't even been limited in the first 2 days, the odds of you practicing and getting ready for Sunday are very, very low. Not impossible, but very, very low. And honestly, I'm fine with that. It's the same thing I said last week with Nick Herbig. Don't put him out there if there's a risk of further injury, and next thing you know, think about it. Nick Herbig suffered the hamstring injury in week 2 of the preseason. And what was that? 4 weeks, 5 weeks since between week 1 and that time?
August 16th, I think.
16th, yeah, it was the 16th. So, not it'll
22
be
days.
It'll be almost a month if he plays on Sunday.
Right. So if you were to like, oh, Joey Porter, we're going to put you out there. I'm sure if it was a playoff game or something, Joey Porter would play. And if it was a must-have, that they don't need that right now. Like if you sit him for a week and he's fine, he's able to come back in week 3, then do it. Just rest him. It's not worth the risk. I do think, and I'll say this before I throw it back to Dave, I think Nick Herbig's return, which I'm expecting him to play unless he re-injured it or had some type of setback between Thursday and Friday, is going to be huge for this defense. It allows them to not have to worry about inside linebacker because Malik Harrison's no longer an option. He's on IR. And so then you can have Cole Holcomb be that third inside linebacker. I think the defense is going to be okay. Dave, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty much how they're going to do stuff. I know I've seen some interesting discussions in various places about what are they going to do, this, that, and the other. Oh, well, they got to do something for Harrison. They're going to bring up, what is it, Radigan from the practice squad. I'm like, why? They have both Cole Holcomb, and I'm sure they're not wanting to play Carson Brunner at inside linebacker unless they actually have to, but he's there and has a helmet. Why would you bring even another guy on to that? You're not needing to replace Malik Harrison at inside linebacker on this roster, but you do want to have something in where he was filling in as the fourth outside linebacker. So Herbig coming back to fill in, to slide into that 3 role, and there you got Jack Sawyer at 4. You're right back in business.
Yeah. I want to ask you, Dave, a question that's not injury related. I guess it is kind of by proxy. Okay. I'm really curious what you're thinking for your inactive list this week. Do you think Jabril Peppers gets a helmet this quick? You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Because he's not a special teamer. He's not going to be playing special teams. I didn't know if they would maybe.
Who says he's not a special teamer?
Me.
A few years ago, he had 200 and some snaps on special teams.
Did he have that in New England last year?
No, not last year. Because last year he only played in 6 games.
I just don't think they're going to put him on special teams right away, but they might.
No, I don't think they have to, but it's not like it can't.
Yeah.
So,
I just didn't know if he would know enough. I'm sure the menu of options for him and the plays will be very limited, considering he doesn't know the full defense. And I didn't know if maybe an activation of someone like Beanie Bishop would make more sense.
No, honestly, the reason I say he's going to be active unless the Steelers bring up somebody else from the practice squad as an elevation.
Yeah.
Who you going to trust more right now, him or Sebastian Castro?
Yeah, that's good.
That's what they have to ask themselves right now, because that's your other option at safety. So to me, didn't Coach Austin say earlier today that they were going to see how the week goes, the rest of the week goes, to see who's going to start versus Peppers or Clark? So I think it's going to be Clark, but to me, just saying that makes me think they're leaning there. The hope is to have him ready to go. So I think he'll be active. To me, you're inactive. Now remember, I want to say this now because I put it in the article that was on SteelCurveNetwork.com when the Steelers made their roster moves Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The Steelers have 3 quarterbacks on the team, but Logan Woodside is on the practice squad. You cannot elevate a quarterback and then have him dress as the third option. It's not allowed. So either they have to move him to the 53 to then have him inactive and dress him, or they're just going to go with the 2 that they have for now, and the third quarterback's more for if something worse happens down the road. So you're not going to have another quarterback there. So you're going to have Derek Carmen, you're going to have Joey Porter Jr., you're going to have Deshaun Elliott already as 3 of your 5 inactives, and you already have you've got 2 extra offensive linemen that you don't need and an extra defensive lineman. So, my goodness, you could bring someone off the practice squad and still have Jabril Peppers active.
Brian, what do you think about Peppers joining the team?
I love it. It makes me wonder though, why is he available? And that's always a thing, especially in late July and August. I wonder why a guy's available. But I look at his age, it's not that bad. And this is a team that could use some hitters. And the guy hits. So if that's what you're bringing him out here, then I'm fine with it. It's somebody else. I mean, it's not a no name. It's someone that has had success in this league. Like you mentioned before, I don't know anything about Professor Radigan whatsoever. I know he was mean to the Great Mouse Detective, but I don't know what he's going to do in Pittsburgh here.
That's what I think of every time I saw that he was coming to the Steelers. That's not the same thing. Sorry.
So, anyways, no, I mean, I thought the Pepper signing was good, and it works right now, and they seem to be able to manage these older guys, these personalities, all of these guys a little bit better than they would have 5 years ago.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do and what it looks like when they're all healthy, if they're all healthy, because sometimes you just have those years where it just seems like you can't get the whole team together for whatever reason. You think about Deshaun Elliott, Joey Porter Jr. already absent. We'll see. It's going to be really interesting. But I want to read this super chat here. Captain Underpants gives us $5. He said, I can't stay all night, but I wanted to say, TJ, get right game, 2+ sacks, running game over 100 yards, and the run defense keeps him under 125. Pittsburgh wins 31-17. I don't think there would be a lot of complaints there, Captain Underpants, if that was the outcome for sure. All right, Dave, do we have anything yet of the Seattle Seahawks, their Wednesday report?
Okay. You mean their Thursday report? We have their Wednesday.
Sorry. We have Wednesday. We don't have Thursday.
I keep hitting refresh because I got to put it in the article.
Right.
It's still not reported at Steelers.com. If it's out there somewhere else right now, I don't know. Unless I go to Seattle's website, this is just where I have it right now. But we can go with Wednesdays. To me, I mean, they had several different things that you could look at. You know, like they've got a wide receiver, Jake Bobo. That's he was a full participation in the concussion protocol Wednesday. Safety, I always mess up his last name. Nick Amanwari, right? I got it. He didn't play. Linebacker Ernest Jones didn't play with a shoulder. This was Wednesday. Safety Julian Love was limited with a groin. Groin's not a good thing for a safety to be limited with. Linebacker Uchenna Nwosu has a knee injury but was full on Wednesday, so that's just there. Defensive tackle Jaron Reed was limited with a back injury. Wide receiver Drake Young with a hamstring was limited. And the big one was cornerback Devin Witherspoon didn't practice with a knee injury. If we get an update before the end of the show, that's one I really want to look to see if there's any update there, because that's a significant one.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, guys. I have that update. I have Thursdays from Seattle.
Oh, you went to Seattle?
I went to their website and didn't see anything, but go ahead. What is it?
So we're looking at the DNPs were, again, Emwanawori, Julian Love, the safety, Jaron Reed.
Julian Love went from limited to didn't practice. That's significant. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then Jaron Reed went from a limited to DNP as well. He's a good nose tackle. And then Devin Witherspoon is still a DNP. So your limited practices yesterday that are now full practices are Drake Young and Ernest Jones. And that's it.
Jeff, I want to ask you a question from an injury standpoint, since you're someone who knows a lot about the human body and performance and all that good stuff.
Okay.
To me, so you look at Devin Witherspoon, you look at Joey Porter Jr. One is a knee, one is a hamstring. I'm a lot more certain about Joey Porter Jr. not playing with the soft tissue injury than I would say, oh, maybe someone's got a sore knee. They need to let it rest and recover and then be able to play. I think the hamstring injury is worse, personally. Do you kind of feel the same way?
It depends on the severity and the type of injury to the knee. If it's just, someone tweaks the knee, like I just turned the wrong way, sometimes they can give them shots to numb it up and there's not going to be any other structural damage. But a hamstring is, man, I say this all the time, and I've said it on Let's Ride for years. Anyone that's ever pulled a hamstring, I don't care if you're walking your dogs and all of a sudden you just feel the back of your leg tighten up. You're like, oh my gosh. Or if you're playing a sport, right when you think it feels healthy and right, you make a move and then you're starting back from square one. Most of the time when you're talking about knee injuries, you're talking about that structural damage, the ligaments, the tendons, things like that. It can still be bad. But I agree, Dave, that if you're limited or not practicing because of a soft tissue injury, those are the ones that can just really linger. Whereas a lot of times, if it is, say, Derek Harmon's case and now Deshaun Elliott's case, MCL sprain, you just have to wait for that ligament to heal, and then they have to kind of get that full mobility back, barring something crazy like a setback where they have to really torque their knee in the wrong direction. Yeah, like you can re-injure a hamstring just walking up and down steps. So yeah, I'd probably agree with you there. So, all right, Brian, where did you find that?
I just typed in Seattle injury report, and I think it was on. It was from there. It was from SeattleSeahawks.com.
Nice. I just looked. They must have just put it up there. But,
Yeah,
hey, that's fine.
It's a week 2 report.
Hey, I believe you. I'm not doubting you. I'm just saying, like that's good. That's good.
and the fact that it was players that was on the list the day before it seems it's not like you looked at last week's or something like that.
He was reverting back. He said that found a 2019 version.
Yeah,
That's when they had 2 losses.
All right, so let's continue talking about this game, and I want to ask you guys what you think is going to be the most important part of the Steelers' plan to see success in the second week. Let's start on offense, Brian. What would you say is your key to victory? Your X factor could be an individual player, could be a phase of the game. What are your thoughts in that regard?
I'm not going away from my original position last week, and it's running game, offensive line, opening holes. They've got to get over 100 rushing yards this week.
Now, Brian, I want to give you a chance. I don't know if you saw on our Slack channel when Dave and Jeremy were just no holds barred. It was crazy.
I ignore those guys.
Well, what was your take on the usage, Brian, in week 1 for the running backs?
I thought the usage was weird, and I said it on the postgame show a lot. I thought the whole Kenny Gainwell thing was, I know it was to stretch things out, but really, when you had Jaylen Warren, and I'm wearing his jersey today, but when you had Warren and he was getting going, I thought he had the better chance to move the chains. Now, Gainwell, I want to use as a traditional third-round back a little bit more, a la Veron Haynes, a la some guys that we've had throughout the years that you know are going to do some things on third down more. But I really think that they should go with more of a, not really a bell cow, because I don't think he's a bell cow, but a guy that has the majority of the carries, because he was grinding and he was pinballing.
Okay. It's funny because I gave Jeremy a chance on my Friday Let's Ride podcast to talk about it. Dave, do you see any? You've made your case on multiple shows about the running back usage. Do you see it changing this week?
Yeah, because I don't think that's what the Steelers wanted to do. I would say if they wanted it, it would have been more of a, 55-45 or even 60-40 with Jaylen Warren, but they weren't going to pigeonhole themselves into having to stick to that if there were certain packages that they were wanting to run stuff out of that had Gainwell on the field more. They weren't going to let that be the determining factor, which I think is the smart thing to do. And where I've had to explain myself a couple places, even in Jeremy's article today in the comments that was about it, is that sometimes if I don't want to sound like Brian Clark did on ESPN, but you might not always understand everything if you haven't worn the whistle and held the play sheet. That you might not understand how these things go when you're trying to quickly get players from the sidelines onto the field to then call the play. It's a lot of stuff that happens. So they have specific packages. It's especially this time of year more. I mean, I think it could change more as it goes on. And not every team does it the same. But you could literally just call for a package, and that means it's one running back versus the other. It's not like you could just swap either one of them in at any time, simply because you're early in the season. You could call a play out of that package that if the other running back comes in, they may have never run before. So that's why you still stick to the players that you have in the package. I think that's what happened when it came to Gainwell. I don't think the Steelers intentionally had him out there more often. But look, Jalen Warren was out there for more running plays than Gainwell was. This was about passing plays. That's really what it came down to. And were you really surprised? Didn't you think Kenny Gainwell would be the guy that might be on the field more often? Perhaps in passing plays? Sure. But maybe, not, I don't want to say more often, but a significant amount of the time. And I think that's what happened is that it went down that way. I also mentioned this before, and I kind of wanted to know what you guys thought. I thought it was significant that the Steelers' first 2 plays from scrimmage, these are their scripted plays. Granted, the first one ended up being a sack. Mm-hmm. But what happened? They had Jalen Warren on the field. What do you probably think you might expect there? Run. What did they do? Play action, hopefully pass, but it was a sack. Then what was the second play? Oh, second and long. You bring in the guy that right off the bat you might be thinking is the guy that's going to be the running back when you're passing the ball, and they hand it off to him. To me, that's almost setting a precedence of you're not going to be able to tell what we're doing based on who we have on the field. And we're going to show you that and make you second guess that right off the bat. I don't know if they did it intentionally or not. It looked intentional, but I think you'll see more Jalen Warren this week just because my goodness, that game didn't go at all how I expected on Sunday. I don't think that's how the Steelers expected it to go. But sometimes when that happens, you just got to roll with it.
It's not a bad theory, and it would make sense. Like the way you outlined it makes sense that you're not trying to tip your hand as to when Warren's out there, this is going to happen, X, Y, or Z, whatever. But, I totally agree. I don't want to spend too much time with the running backs. Dave, what else did you want to add to what you're thinking of? Brian brought up the offensive line, running game, running backs. Where were you thinking in terms of keys to victory for the Steelers?
It doesn't have to be offense or defense, right?
No, it's offense. We're going to go around.
Okay, I was just making sure it was still offense. No, yeah. Brian's right to me, I'm going to say it every week until it's not an issue, and it's probably going to be almost every week. Hopefully we can finally get and say, no, they're good everywhere. It's the offensive line, like Brian said. It's not just opening up holes. It's also protecting the quarterback. And I think some of that even has to come down to scheme. If your left tackle is going to be a weakness, there's nothing wrong with if someone's going to get help, it's going to be him. You just have to look at those kind of things and be willing to do it. Would you like to have your left tackle be able to stay on an island and get the job done? Sure. But if he's not, you've got to be ready to make sure that it doesn't hinder everything your entire offense wants to do. I'm constantly going to be looking at that offensive line. When they really step up is when I will see the Steelers really have the freedom to do anything on offense.
At this point in time, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I don't care what they do well, just do something well, offensive line-wise. Like if it's run blocking, great, run the ball. If it's pass blocking, okay, let's throw it. But right now, like the way that they're handling things, and they threw the ball more than they ran it last week, but it wasn't like it was some really skewed number to one or the other. They didn't double up the running attempts to passing attempts. I just hope that the Steelers' offensive line can keep Rodgers clean. Last week, 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. That's too much. They got to clean that up, and hopefully they do. Because if they do, we saw what can happen even when he does get sacked 4 times. Let's go to the defensive side, Brian. What's your key there?
All right, I have a couple, but I'm going to narrow it down to one. In Captain Underpants, I'm going to steal your story here. It's got to be TJ Watt just breaking Darnold in half. This is not a great offensive line as it is, so I would like to see on defense. Now, I know they've got to, there's some receivers out there I've got to worry about, but the constant pressure on Darnold, that guy, when he sees ghosts, he's not good. And that goes back to his rookie year, of course. I know he's a better player than what he was, but I think there's holes in his game. He's not the $40 million quarterback that everybody thinks he is. So you need to crack him and make him feel it. And once you do that, he'll be hesitant.
All right. Dave, any thoughts on that? Do you want to just go into yours?
Oh, yeah. Well, Brian, what's nice, I don't disagree with anything Brian said, but he left me the low-hanging fruit, so thank you, Brian. It's that interior defensive line. You've got to be stout. You can't get pushed around. I was trying to think about it. Was it on I was listening to it on someone's show. Was it Jeff's show? I can't even remember. Where they were talking about it's really hard to figure out what was going on with Peyton Wilson because he kept constantly getting blocked by the offensive line. You know, he kept getting swallowed up by the offensive line because the defensive line was getting driven back. It's a lot harder to do that. So that interior defensive line, they've got to be able to stand their ground, take on the blocks, take on the double teams without getting moved, and that'll allow everybody else to do their job.
I mean, for me, defensively, I'd like to see a defensive takeaway. I didn't see one last week. We saw a special teams takeaway, but I'd love to see the defense, whether it's a strip sack, whether it's an interception, a fumble recovery. I don't care. I'd love to see the defense get the ball back for the offense. We haven't seen that too much or at all yet this season. So, all right, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break. When we come back from the break, we're going to dive into our over-under segment, give our predictions. We'll do some trivia, bad memories as well, and then we'll get out of here. So if you're watching live on any platform, we're not going anywhere. If you're listening on the audio side, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. All right, Steeler fans, thank you all for being patient. And here we go. Live. We have a super chat from Steeler Fan 69, gives us $5. Thank you very much. He said, I went to the doctor with hearing problems. He said, can you describe the symptoms? I said, Homer's a fat dude and Marge has blue hair. So there you go. I kind of ruined that, Steeler Fan 69. My apologies. But we thank you for the tip nonetheless. So, all right, you guys ready for some over-under? But first, let's recap, Dave. How did we finish last week?
All right, last week. Well, first of all, in the game picks, Jeff, you and Brian both went 1 for 2. Yep. I went 0 for 2 because I took the under. You guys both took the over. Brian had a push. Jeff and I both had the Steelers covering. They did not cover because it was a 2-point victory. But so therefore we don't get credit for who we picked to win. That's how that went. Okay. When it came to the actual stuff, we actually all did pretty decent. Jeff, you got 4 out of 6 and you were in last. Nice. Because Brian and I each got 5 out of 6. The one Brian didn't get was the Justin Fields turnovers because he didn't have any. And Brian took the over there. And the one I didn't get was the New York rushing yards that Jeff and I both took the under on that one, which did not happen.
No, they doubled it up almost.
Yes.
I wasn't happy about being right.
I get it. All right, so week 2, Steelers, Seahawks, another round of over-under. Are you all ready?
Ready to roll.
Here we go. We're doing I write A-Rod. I always say Alex Rodriguez sometimes. Aaron Rodgers, passing yards. We're ticking it up to 235.5. Brian, you taking the over or under?
You know what? I'm going to still take the over on this. I expect them to run better, but I'm going with the over.
All right. Dave, what do you think?
Ooh, 235.5. Because, well, last week he hit the over on it last week. Ooh, that one's
last
tough.
week he had 244.
Yeah. This is weird. Usually I do my over under based on my score that I've come up with. I haven't even come up with my score yet.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, let's have some fun. Let's go over.
I'm going to go over as well. I just think that's going to be their mode of transportation is through the air. All right, let's go with it. Let's do an interesting one. Caleb Johnson attempts. All right, so this is the amount of times that he carries the football, attempts, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to say 3.5. Brian, over or under?
You know, I'm going to go with the over just because he hardly had any last week. I think they're going to try to feed him a little bit more.
Dave, what about you?
I ruffled some feathers when on the Q&A I typed in there that said I didn't think Caleb Johnson was going to get 5 touches. He got 1. This is 3.5. That, you know what? I could see them tripling his carries this week. That's still the under. I'm taking the under.
I'm taking the under too. This is carries. This is not like receptions. Yes. If they give him a swing pass or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna. This wasn't touches. Do you want to change yours, Brian? Now that you know.
Nah.
Okay. All right. Let's go to DK Metcalf receptions. All right, DK Metcalf receptions. Last week he ended up with 4. He's going against his former team. I've got the line at 5.5. Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, so if Witherspoon is out, they're going to have a party. at Acrisure. And the master of ceremonies is going to be Aaron Rodgers, but he is going to be hitting his piñata, and his piñata is not going to leak any candy. He's just going to absorb all of the passes. And so, wow, that's not working. But he's going to have more.
With it.
He's going to have more.
You're taking the over. Okay.
Yes.
Dave, what about you?
Brian's spot on, and even if it's not Witherspoon, I would just say it's just not Sauce Gardner. Even if Witherspoon does play, and if he does, he might be playing on a less than 100% knee. So 5.5 is a really good number, because what did I think of when you first said that? I'm like, 5 or 6 sounds good, and you put it right between them. So I'm going to take the over. I'm going to say that he has 6 receptions. I'm also assuming that he's going to have less drops than last week as well.
I'm going to take the under, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think that the Seahawks are going to say anyone can kill us, but not that guy. And they'll do whatever they have to not let him get open. And that's probably what a smart defensive coordinator, and Mike McDonald is a good defensive mind, and he's very familiar with the Steelers in his time in Baltimore. I'm not saying that DK Metcalf won't be effective, and I'm not saying he's not going to score a touchdown, but I think I'm going to go with the under. So, all right. Enough of me talking. Let's go to Seattle Seahawks team rushing yards. Maybe this is a little generous on my part, but I'm going 125.5. Brian, over under.
I am actually going to go with the under here. But based on what we saw last week, 124 rushing yards, I think I'd be fine with it. They just went crazy last week. So, yeah, let's go ahead and go with the under.
All right, Dave?
Yeah, I'm taking the under as well, because I was thinking, hey, improve, keep it to 120. But remember, this is still a Steelers defense who last year, they had a ton of games where in against the run, they held teams to under 70 yards. So thinking that it's possible for them to hold them to 125 or less, I'm going under.
I, too, am going to go under. Just wishful thinking, but I also wouldn't be shocked if it's a work in progress and we see it moving in the right direction, but just not quite there yet. All right, next one. Pat Freiermuth targets. How many times is Pat Freiermuth targeted? I've got this line at 3.5. Brian, what do you think?
Let's go with 4, so let's go with the over.
All right, Dave, what about you?
Hold on, I'm still writing it down. He answered fast. I'm not used to bad giving a short answer. I'm going to go over as well, just because if the Seahawks really want to focus on DK Metcalf, then that could leave other people open, and I think Freiermuth could have that. And you said targets, not receptions.
That is correct.
Targets.
Yes.
I think he could be targeted more. I still think I wouldn't be shocked if DK Metcalf gets a lot of wide receiver screens and stuff like that to get him the ball without him having to quote unquote get open. If they're going to do stuff like that, but if he's not going to be a big option, I think Aaron Rodgers could give the ball to anybody. That's the thing. He really could. So you're going to have to figure out where it's going to be. So I'll take the over for that one.
I'm going to go over just with 4. He was targeted 3 times last week. I think he gets 4 this week. All right, the last one, Chris Boswell field goals. The line's at 2.5. Brian, over under.
I'm going to go over on this one because even though they have a different finish than they did last year on drives, I feel that he can still get 3 easily.
Okay, Dave?
We've agreed way too much. I'm going to take the over this week as well. Last week you did 3.5. I thought that was an easy one to do under. So yeah, he could go 2, but being at home and the fact that he kicked the crap out of the ball last week, I wouldn't be shocked if they're just saying, hey, give us the ball a few seconds before halftime. We'll kick a 65 or 70 yarder if we get the opportunity. So, and I think Boz can hit it. So I haven't checked the weather. That's the one thing that I haven't looked at yet for Sunday. But early reports of the week were that it was supposed to be a nice day. So I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to go under. Based on my score prediction, I'm taking the under. Okay, let's talk about our score predictions. Right now, I've seen this line stretch as far as 3.5. I've seen it down to 2.5. The line that I have is 3 even. So the Steelers are giving 3 points at home. with a total of 39.5 points. That total has been uniform across all the books that I've looked at.
Okay, what'd you say it was again?
39.5, 39.5.
39.5.
So, what do you think, Brian? How do you see it playing out?
All right, so you're over. I would be taking the under if it was just one team, but I have the Steelers scoring 38 points in this game, and I have the Seattle Seahawks scoring 34. So, if you're on audio, it worked last week. If you're on audio, I've got the mini helmet.
There you go.
Seahawks are in the can.
He just
Okay. So you didn't do the exact spread like last week either. So you actually have the Steelers covering.
He just dropped the mini helmet in the paper can. So there you go. All right, Dave, what's your prediction?
My prediction, I just had to come up this on a whim, so let's come up with some weird numbers like Brian does. I don't know that the Steelers will put up as many points as they did last week because I don't know that they will have to. That's the key. I don't know if this is a team that's going to that's just going to come out and blow the doors off of anyone or anything like that regard. I have my score hitting the over this week. And I have the Steelers winning 25-19.
Nice. I'm going to go, I think the Steelers are going to win. That's a shock to everyone. I'm going to take the Steelers to win. I think I'm going to take the over. I think this is going to be more of a conventional game from a score standpoint. I've got the Steelers 27, Seattle 20. So it's 27-20, Steelers win. I think it's going to be close. I don't see this being, if it's going to be an entertaining game like Brian said again, it was fun to watch last week. I just am kind of hoping for a little bit more of normalcy with the Steelers this week. But I'll take Steelers 27-20. We'll see if that plays out this week or not. So, all right, Brian, are you ready for your bad memories?
Yeah, I just have it in my head. I have nothing written down, so.
All right, so I'm going to put your stopwatch on. Ready?
Yes.
Go.
All right, I could go a number of ways. I could go 1983 here. That's when the Steelers and Franco Harris got a big win and they were losing a lot of the time in Seattle. I could go a lot of places, but I have to go to Super Bowl 40. If I don't, I'm going to get yelled at. And I know that's the big win. It was 29 years. They were not in the Super Bowl for all that. Well, they were 10 years before they were and they lost. But now it was time for them to go ahead and win. Now, if you're a Seattle fan right now, you're still spitting in their burgers if they come into a diner. You will claim, and everybody claims, that the refs handed the Steelers that game. But the refs did not have Alan Faneca go just pancake somebody and let Willie Parker run down the field. The refs did not let Hines Ward catch that ball from Antoine Randall. It was, as Bill Hillgrove would say, a Steelers maniac haven. Super Bowl 40, my friends.
Nice. 1 minute. Good job. Very nice. Super Bowl 40. You got to go to Super Bowl 40. Come on. That's obvious. So, all right. I dare ask trivia time.
I got a bunch again. Well, here's the first one. Hopefully this one is quick. Steelers signed Jabril Peppers this week. He is now the 5th first-round draft pick of the 2017 draft to play for the Steelers. Name the other 4.
So you said that he's the 5th?
He's the 5th first-round draft pick of 2017.
TJ Watt was there. Taco Charlton was on
Taco
team.
Charlton.
Now we have Peppers, so that's 3, right? Well, he hasn't played yet, technically.
Well, he's on the roster.
Okay, he's on the roster. So it's 2 left.
2 left.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
I always mix up 17 and 18, but I'm going to say Mitch Trubisky.
Mitch Trubisky, 2nd overall pick.
Was Justin Fields? Well, he was in that draft. He was in 19.
No. Yeah, he was. I don't
Actually,
remember.
He was in the 20s.
Yeah, he wasn't this one. I know that. Okay. It was a top 10 pick. Not number 10, because that was Patrick Mahomes.
It's not Paxton Lynch. He was a lot later.
I can give you a hint.
Okay.
Recently retired. Going back to the team that drafted him and then retired.
It wasn't Mike Williams, was it?
It was Mike Williams. He was the 7th overall pick.
Oh,
Really? That's
Yeah.
wild. I didn't know that.
Yes. So that's the 5. Pretty interesting there. All right. Now I'm doing I have fun doing this where you look at players who played for both teams. Okay. There's been a number of players that started their career in Pittsburgh but finished up in Seattle. 3 of them right off the bat that more than anything, and who would be your top 3?
Franco.
Franco. And one of them, he's actually more in Seattle. Chad Brown.
Finished his career in Seattle?
I'm pretty sure he finished there.
Number 1 pick from 1975, Dave Brown.
Dave Brown, but I don't really count Dave Brown because he played 1 season with the Steelers and then played the rest of his career in Seattle. This is someone who was actually well known as a Steelers player and then ended up in Seattle. And honestly, this one didn't finish. The last one didn't finish in Seattle. Played a year in Seattle, then played a year in Philadelphia.
Levon Kirkland.
That's it. I was going to give Jeff the hint that Jeff's had him on his show before.
Yeah.
That would be Levon Kirkland. Now, I'm going to ask you an interesting trivia as Jeff decides to bail out on us. No, it's all right. He'll be back. There he is. All right. What player drafted by the Steelers hold on, I messed it up here. Drafted by the Steelers in the 6th round in 1993, then went and left and played for the Seattle Seahawks.
Willie Williams.
Only to return to the Steelers to win, to beat the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. That would be one, Willie Williams. Okay, that was a fun one. I have one last one. I was really hoping Jeff would be here. Okay. Hopefully he makes it in quick. Because if not, okay, good. There's Jefferson. At least hopefully he can hear me. It's a player that did the opposite, the opposite move of the ones I talked about with Kirkland and Harris and
I know it.
yeah. Okay, we're not talking Russell Wilson. We're not even talking DK Metcalf. But what player drafted in the 1st round by the Seattle Seahawks and was a 2-time Pro Bowler, finished his career in Pittsburgh? Does Jeff know?
Now at the top of my head, what is it, Brian?
I love this guy. I'm going John L. Williams.
That would be John L. Williams. That is correct.
Huge John L. Williams.
When I brought that up today, I did not realize he was a 1st-round draft pick. He was tied for 2nd for offensive rookie of the year after he was drafted.
He was so good. He was very good.
Yes, he was. So.
He was a fullback in Pittsburgh, though.
Yes.
One of the most productive fullbacks we've ever seen.
Yes. Just 2 seasons in Pittsburgh, but yep, he was a good one.
All right.
There you are, Jeff.
Good stuff, as always. Let's do some final thoughts. Brian, I'll let you go first.
All right. When I go ahead and look at Seattle right now, I am looking at an offensive line that Dave talked about, the interior offensive line and the interior defensive line of the Steelers. Well, this is where the interior defensive line of the Steelers could possibly thrive, because you've got one rookie, Gray Zabel's very good, but you've got 2 other guys that are no names, and this has been a problem for them for a long time. You've got a 1st rounder in Charles Cross at left tackle, but this is where TJ Watt can thrive, Keanu Benton can thrive. You can get a lot of penetration on Sam Darnold. I think it's going to happen. We go to Devon Witherspoon. If he doesn't play, you've got 2 other guys that were on that injury report, Love and Amanawari. Man, they are beat up. So if they can't get those guys out, it could be a throwing party for not only a throwing party, but a rushing party. It could be a great home opener. Now, the last one went bad. It's time for the Steelers to continue the mindset that they have. I said this on Bad Language the other day. I think this is a team that has a lot of heart, and I think that you've got a lot of guys in here looking for, they seem like renegades, that they want to come in here and win one for themselves, but they know that everyone else in that locker room could help them win it. So it's an unselfish team. I like these veterans. I like the younger guys. Let's keep it going at 2-0.
All right, Dave, final thoughts?
Yeah, my final thoughts is that R, however you want to say it, is I think back to 24 years ago today and how everything, changed in our world. A lot of people that were alive know exactly where they were on September 11th. I keep saying that was my wife's second day of work that she had at her workplace, that she still works. It was the first day she was at her desk. And everything changed. And we had the cancellation or I guess we'd say more the postponement of the NFL games that weekend. You wanted to have everything safe. Everyone, how are we going to be able to have everything going on still with the stadiums and everything? And we got back to football eventually. And boy, I just remember watching football that Sunday. I don't even remember if I got the Steelers game or not, because it was, at a time where I just had to watch whatever games were on. But taking that in and like, this is getting back to how things are and how just enjoying sports is something that can unite us, especially after, the events of yesterday where there was a shooting, it was another school shooting. There's a lot of different things and a lot of emotions going on for people. I'm just grateful still that we can talk about sports and enjoy our sports. And so my main thing that I want to say here is enjoy your sports. Enjoy the Steelers. There's a lot of people that when the Steelers won last week didn't enjoy it because they didn't like the defense, they didn't like the running game, they didn't like all those other things. So just remember to, especially on this day of remembrance, remember to enjoy your time with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Watch the game with your family or loved ones or friends or anybody, and please enjoy that.
Well said. Can't add anything to that. Good job, guys. Make sure you check out SteelCurtainNetwork.com. And also Steel Curtain Network, all of our podcasts, which are not all on YouTube, like Brian's Here We Go show with Coach Kevin Smith in Bad Language, like Dave's Pittsburgh Standard Time with Greg Benevit, which you can hear Thursday mornings, and my Let's Ride podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So check all those out. Wherever you get your podcast, search Steel Curtain Network. But that does it for another Steelers preview. We'll be back on Sunday after the game for our post-game show. Dave, why don't you send us out like you always do?
Hey.
See you next week, everyone.
Steel Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.